Welcome back to RGR Football. It's a brand new week, and it's a brand new opponent, although they know them pretty well. The Los Angeles Chargers are going to be the next target for the Kansas City Chiefs, and we are going to give you our game plan, how the Chiefs should go in and contemplate winning this game. If you're new to the channel, make sure you sub and like and do the whole 9 yards. You can see it on the screen there. My partner in crime, Dan Harms, is here. How are you, bud?
You know, I'm doing okay. I'm feeling a little dangerous. I picked the Cleveland Browns in the survivor pool I'm in tonight, so we'll just kind of.
I picked the Bengals as we go to. We are recording this during the game, folks, so we really don't know the outcome. It should be kind of entertaining. I'm not even gonna touch on it right now. The battle of young quarterbacks. I'm gonna dig it, but we have a lot to talk about with these Kansas City Chiefs. And the whole thing is that you had a really good outing to start week one, and now you got to shift it. You got to, honestly, what I think is probably not as good an opponent with the quarterback situation and with the injuries. But this is still a dangerous team. So when you take a look, what is the thing on your mind most importantly that they have to get done in order to win this game?
You got to stop the pass rush. And we saw them in week 11, I think last year in Mexico City. It was a lot of slot play. You can blame the turf if you want to, not having Tyreek Hill, but they were unable to block Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa. They were it was Eric Fisher's first game back. There's a lot of semantics involved in the whole thing, but you have to be able to stop the pass rush up front in order to facilitate the pass game, because they're going to have to throw the football, in my opinion. I think their front is much better. They've got some, young, fast guys like Kenneth Murray as a linebacker to play in that run defense a little bit. So I think that they're going to have to throw the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of the backfield, use the quick game again against their predominant cover 3 defense that we're probably going to see again. I would assume so. They have the personnel to do it even without Derwin James, who, I feel sorry for him. He's a great player and just seems to have that injury bug that the Chargers give everybody. So, I expect them to be much better against Joey Bosa, assuming he's still dealing with some knickknacks, injuries over there, and Melvin Ingram, who just seems to be one of those guys that always is consistent, but he never gets any better. I think that Schwartz should be fine, and wherever they line up, because they're going to line up all over the place. So that's my thing, is just kind of stop the pass rush. And also, Jerry Tillery is really good. Just got to let you guys know, he's really good.
Just so you're aware, I like one guy that you brought up there, and it's because I kind of feel like he's somebody to exploit. You brought up Ken Murray, who I really liked coming out of college. Good against the run, but I think this is the week, and this is a way that they can exploit him in the pass game, because I think Clyde on him is going to be a mismatch. And like you said, with that cover 3 that has given the Chiefs problems in the past, that's going to be a spot that I think they can make some hay. But for me, I'm looking at the defensive side, and honestly, the number one thing for me is you have to give support to your young corners. And it doesn't matter who they are. We don't know right now if Tavares Ward's even going to be available. So it could be Rashad Fenton, who got beat up a little bit by Keenan Allen last week. Keenan Allen, one of the mediocre receivers in the league. I tease kids. He is very good. I just think he thinks he's a lot better than he actually is. But beyond that, he's one guy. Williams has done some damage as well. And I think that, especially if you're looking without Ward, that means you're going to have Fenton on one end, and you're going to have Snead on the other. Maybe they drop Tyron down into the box. Maybe they go with Hamilton, although Hamilton and man is an issue. That's something we saw last week late that gave up one of those big plays, and it's because I think Hamilton, the Chiefs like his versatility, but I think in space he's okay. Asking him to man up is a problem, especially against somebody like Keenan Allen or a bigger body like Williams. I think that's going to be trouble. But out there on the corners, what you can do is give yourself a little bit of help. And that means rolling either Juan or Tyron over, depending on who's in that slot in nickel. I think they have to play Juan over and kind of shade him wherever Keenan Allen goes, because of the lack of experience at the corner spot.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And obviously, hitting on Tavares Ward, it would be nice to have him play this game, just so you're not relying on young guys and inexperienced guys on the outside. But I'm kind of worried about Austin Eckler. I mean, he kind of gives me some Aaron Jones vibes from last year, thinking of like get some of our linebackers out on islands, and I don't really like the idea of that, because just they can't cover, and they're not going to play Willie. They've shown that he's probably not ready yet. unless they're up by at least 20 points going into the fourth quarter. I don't expect them to play this game, but they still have Tyrod Taylor, who could actually give a guy like Dorian O'Daniel some more snaps this week. They saw him last week against Deshaun Watson, using a little bit more of the QB spy, and then he used that coffee house blitz he got the sack on. So I do expect him to play a little bit in this game, just because Tyrod can move the chains with his legs. So I don't expect them to have an extremely explosive offense. Tyrod just doesn't do it for me. Doesn't do it for anybody, really. He's not that kind of quarterback. He's not going to turn it over. He's just going to kind of play it safe, and that's who he is. So yeah, the main issues for me in linebackers at corner and the two weakest spots on this defense. So having Travis Ford definitely helps, and hopefully if you got that club on, just be prepared to try to swing it around as much as you can. You're not going to be able to intercept anything. Maybe you can knock the ball into some of your teammates' hands. That'll be a fun thing to watch for.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm glad you bring up the linebackers, because I'm concerned about them. Nobody was really happy with their play last week, but I'll give you this. On review, when I watched the film, a couple of plays that were kind of substantial were definitely about the rust, because there were some communication issues going on out there. We saw Tyrann Mathieu kind of get lit up in terms of getting angry at what was going on the field. I don't mean that he was taken advantage of, because he was super solid as always, but the assignment thing. And that was actually the big play that Aikens scored on, going over Neiman, a guy who's usually really good in coverage. There was a lot of pre-snap confusion on that one, and I'll probably roll this over the top so you guys can see it, because I didn't do my defensive film review, because we got it 58 seconds ago. Thank you, Dan, for doing the offensive side, and folks, we'll get this figured out as the NFL gets the Game Pass figured out. But I think the key is those linebackers have to step up, and the communication has to be earlier in the snap. They got to get out of the huddle, and they got to get on the field, because the two things, like you said, Eckler, but I also think that Hunter Henry is a guy that can exploit them down the middle. That's going to be key, especially if you're giving extra coverage, rolling it a little bit with Juan over to where Keenan is. I think that middle of the field's got to be something that I think we might see Hamilton in the slot, so that Tyron can be in the middle, kind of roaming. And I think that's probably the key to getting out to a lead. It might not stop them, because they have some pretty solid players on their offense, but I think that's the way to start.
Yeah, and I mean, they're going to be tested this week in terms of depth too. They've got injuries on the defensive line. They still don't have Mike Pennell for this week, so it's going to be definitely a week for Wharton to step up, and Mike Dana. These young guys that earned their roster spots are going to have some good playing time this week, and it's going to be. I don't expect them to back down. I definitely didn't expect Wharton to. He's shown that he's a very physical presence on the defensive line for an undrafted free agent. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing those two play a lot this week. And obviously Chris Jones against that offensive line that's injured, it's not going to be fun for them. It's going to be a long day for a guy who's not as slippery as Deshaun Watson. Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's true. But you got to give him respect, right? So. Yeah. If you look at the opposite, so what's your big takeaway? How should they really start to exploit it on offense? They have so many things to choose from. Yeah.
Well, I mean, really it's going to be what they show. If they do exactly what they've done in the past, they're going to be off for the most part. They're not going to press too much. And the Chiefs have been able to exploit the first 5-7 yards with Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins. They did it against the Texans. A lot of it, they had a lot of coverages where they're just immediately running backwards off the snap. That's going to open up these little short out routes that we saw Tyreek hit a couple of times. Sammy Watkins can hit those in breaking slant routes, which he's actually really, really good at. Those intermediate parts of the field. And then there's always the biggest mismatch in this game now is Travis Kelce. In that Week 11 game, they didn't have Derwin James, and he blew up. This is going to be an area of the field that I think that the Chargers have to respect more than anything else. They have enough speed on the back end to kind of do what they want in terms of keeping the lid on Tyreek Hill. He's not going to be stopped. He's still going to get the ball in the intermediate parts of the field. But Travis Kelce is going to kill him all over everywhere unless they, gravitate some attention towards him. That's going to, again, open up things for guys like Sammy Watkins and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We might see a little bit more of McCole Hardman this week, depending on how close it is. Demarcus Robinson didn't do himself any favors last week, dropping some touchdowns and not exactly playing up to the fifth or sixth year now that he's been in this offense. So, if he continues this road of his that he just doesn't run great routes all the time, drops balls, I don't think he's going to be out snapping McCole Hardman for that much longer. But I do think that the key for this week is Travis Kelce. If they find a way to shut him down in any stretch without Derwin James, this offense with Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to blow up around him.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this too, if they do decide to emphasize Travis, maybe this is how McCole Hardman gets going, because Nasir Adderley only played like 27 snaps last week. And honestly, he wasn't tested. And I like Nasir Adderley. I liked him coming out of college, but he hasn't played. He's for all intents and purposes, a rookie. You have to attack him with speed. And I think that could be another way that they can get paid.
I really hope so, because I would love to see McCole get some targets. I didn't expect them to have one play run up for him in week 1 and then just not go towards him at all. Granted, I get it. They had the game well in hand. They used quite a bit of 2 tight end sets, which leaves Sammy and Tyreek on the field. So it just kind of didn't go his way. Maybe this game will. It kind of depends on the run game. If they can get Clyde Edwards-Helaire running again, then it's going to be 2 tight end sets. We're going to see Sherman. We're going to see more Demarcus Robinson because of his blocking. So, I mean, it's just they have so many ways they can attack you that if they come out in more cover 3, I think that they're just going to do the same thing that they did last week and just do short game, run down the field. They can be surgical and they can just run. That's how they can win in time of possession games. They don't have to run the football. They can just stab you to death with these little 5, 6, 7 yard gains.
I think 7 wheel routes to Sherm sounds about right. I'm down. So
I would love to see it again. Please just do it again. Just be like, hey guys, remember this play?
So do you have a prediction for this outcome?
Yeah, this is not going to be a close game. They're going to win like 38-20. Maybe if they score 20, I'm not sure that they can even put up 20, to be honest with you. Tyler Taylor does not scare me in the slightest.
Well, it's funny you pick those numbers because that's exactly what I said on Locked On Chiefs, so I'm going to stick with it, folks. We have it 38-20. Let us know what you think. Leave your prediction down in the comments here as we go through the game plan. Danilo will have something for you pre-game. The tailgate episode is coming up, but that's it for us today. Thanks for all the time, Dan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Folks, this wasn't live, but will be live post-game and Monday night. So check that out. If you're not subbed, hit the like, the sub, the bell notification, and turn those notifications on your phone, or it doesn't work. It doesn't no good at all. So, hey, we'll be back with you. Thanks for watching this one. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.